Welcome to the channel. Today's episode we're going to be repairing and painting this NC Mx5 rear bumper cover. Now it had a little bit of fire damage and I'm going to show you how to repair that, so stay tuned. Got a customer down in Florida who brought me a bumper I need to paint. Looks like they had a little flash fire under the car. Let's have a look at the damage. So they got some oil on the exhaust that actually caught on fire. It looks like it blistered up the paint, but doesn't really hurt the plastic really. So we're going to sand all this down, see how bad the damage is underneath the paint, and then basically if we have to do any repair to the plastic we will, but I think we're going to be able to get away with just sanding it and then priming it. So we're going to start by pulling off this little lower diffuser here. Looks like it bolts on with a couple 10 millimeters. There's one over here, and there's some push ends here too. Let's flip it over and see what it looks like on the bottom side. Alright, so on the bottom side we've got a lot of 10s here. We'll take these all out. Take these a little loose here. Like I said, the push in here. 2 10s there, another push in, and some there. So let's get this all taken off and then we can start getting this thing sanded, ready to paint. So we're going to start off sanding this bumper with some 80 grit on a DA. And what we're trying to accomplish with this is just to make it smooth. The 80 grit will make really light work of the paint. It'll strip it off pretty fast, and if there's any imperfections in the plastic, this will smooth it over. Now if it's too bad, we'll have to put some filler or something in there, but I think we're going to be able to get away with just 80 gritting it, which will make it smooth, and then we'll follow it up with some 180 on a DA just to try to get some of the 80 grit scratches out so that we can prime it. We got all the blisters sanded out of this thing, but in doing so we sanded it down to the raw plastic. So this whole area here was just raw plastic, and we got on it with some rough paper so you can see how it haired it up. You can see the little sanding marks. It made it really rough. We got the bumper system on here now. We're going to let it sit overnight. We'll come back and we'll sand this with some 600 grit to try to make it a little bit smoother. And then we can apply some 2K primer to finish off the repair. So we got the 2K primer put on here, and you can see most of the imperfections are gone out. All the little hairs that were showing up. So we'll be able to sand this with some 320 grit sandpaper. We're going to run a DA on this primer and get this thing sanded and get it ready to paint. Now, while he's DAing it, if he notices anything that needs to be blocked, he'll put a block on it. But for the most part, I think we can get away with just running a DA with 320 on it. Alright, so my brother's got this thing all sanded, taped up. It's sanded with 320 grit paper. This color's dark enough where I could probably get away with just base coating it, but we're going to go ahead and seal it anyways. Got the tow hook cover over there we got to paint. We'll get this thing sealed with a dark gray, and then we can start putting some base on. So let's get our paint suit and our respirator put on. Paint suit's on, sealer's mixed up. Let's go wipe this bumper down one more time with wax and grease remover, and then we'll tack it off before we start spraying. Alright, so we've got the sealer sprayed on there. We gave it about a 15-minute flash time. We've got our base coat in the gun. We're going to start spraying some base. Now most colors cover in about 4 coats. Some less, some more. This color doesn't cover that well, so we're going to be putting a minimum of 4 coats, probably about 5 or 6. So let's start spraying some base. Alright, so we ended up putting 6 coats of color on that bumper. I think it was covered at 5, but we went ahead and put 1 more on just for good measure. We've got our clear mixed up, everything's flashed off in there, and we're ready to start clearing. So let's start clearing. The first coat of clear coat's been sprayed on there. We gave it a 15-minute flash time. So now we're ready to start spraying on the second and final coat. So come on, let's go do that now. Alright, so we got the last coat of clear sprayed on there. Looks really good. Let's go check it out. No runs, no drips, no fouls. We'll let this thing dry overnight. We'll come back in the morning, get that rear diffuser put on, and this thing will be ready for delivery. All right, so we finished up this job. It turned out really good. I called the customer. They're down in Daytona and let them know it was finished. They're coming up this way to get some shocks. So on the way to get the shocks, they're going to swing by and grab this bumper. So one more job completed and on to the next one.
Since the hair, nails, and tanning salons are closed, a lot of you guys are going to be meeting your girlfriend for the first time.
All right, so that's going to be about it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, hit that like button. If you have any thoughts or questions about anything I did in the video, leave it in the comment section down below. If this is the first time you're ever seeing me, consider subscribing and clicking on the bell icon. That way you won't miss any future content. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one. See ya! And it put on and it put on. Base coat in the gun, we're ready to start spraying some base. Now most covers. Got the base coat in the gun. We're gonna go start spraying some. All right, so we ended up putting 6 coats of base coat on that color. All right, so we ended up putting 6 coats of base coat on that color. Oh my god. All right, so we ended up putting 6 coats of color on that bumper. I think it was color.